if you send full kernels, it will get planted. That's just part of food aid. You grind the corn, and then it can't get planted. The Southern African countries in 2002 asked the U.S. government, please grind the maize. And the U.S. government said, no, we can't, it's too expensive. The State Department said it cost $25 a ton. This is 2002, when we started dropping bombs on Afghanistan and Iraq at a bit more higher cost than $25 a ton. Okay. So again, the rest of the world hears this. So genetically modified corn came into Southern Africa, and this is a result. This study was taken in 2006, 2007, of the genetic pollution, finding genetically modified maize in Namibia, Swaziland, Zambia, and again, your handout gives more detail. They're collecting it from roadsides, from farmers' fields. All of these countries on even the larger chart ban genetically modified organisms. The only way it came in was through food aid, or the alternative is what the U.S. government says is, well, these small-scale farmers, you know, they trade maize and we can't stop them. So the U.S. government is blaming the informal maize trade, and the rest of Southern Africa knows. So from the point of view of Southern Africa, with the United States doing this, and the United States doing it willingly, and the United States continuing to do it when they've been called about it, shows to this set of theories, accumulation by disposition, that the state is organized and working with global corporate capital. Probably one of the things that we do need to think about is that it's not in your and my interest to have this kind of activity going on. So just 3 points of empirical evidence to address the research question. And then let me finish, this is the last part, by going to, okay, Africans are no way just victims. They are fighting and resisting everything I've just presented. They are saying no to industrial agriculture. They have said no to the patenting of life form since 1999 in a unanimous resolution which they sent to the WTO meeting in Seattle. And the Clinton administration refused to even put it on the agenda. So again, there are many, many ways in which they're resisting, and again, I'm just going to finish by giving you 3 of them. The first one is they're not choosing the production model of industrial agriculture. Instead of the waving field of grain that you saw in the industrial agricultural model, this is to them considered a picture of developed, sustainable agriculture. Not waving fields of grain, of a genetically penurious variety, but intercropping many, many different kinds of variety of crops on one field. This particular picture has millet, sunflower, and amaranth in it. And of course, you pick the crops that increase the natural predators of pests. You pick crops that are helping in terms of the water and are helping in terms of enriching the soil as well as taking elements out of the soil. So a totally different approach to production of food is part of the resistance of that. Another example of the resistance is that they are saying we will sustain our indigenous seeds. We do not want to buy from Monsanto and Pioneer. Their analysis is, and I got this from many, many scientists in Southern Africa, is that food, sufficient food in Africa will come from the biodiversity of food rather than the monoculture of food. And a quick example we have in our book, it's a generalization. The continent of Africa, the whole continent, has about 2,000 different kinds of food crops. 2,000. We in the United States are down to 15 for 75% of our food. We are eating 15 crops. They of shows you the very, very different approach to food production. They want to sustain that. They want to sustain the biodiversity of their food. Because when there's a drought, something still lives and they can eat it. And they also get much more nutrition than, of course, we do from 15 simple crops. Along with that production choice of the selection of seed, they are refusing the exchange of seed that happens in commercial industrial agriculture. They are building their own seed banks, and their approach is the best way to conserve seed is to use it. Let me say that again. The best way to conserve seed is to use it. Because then you plant it, you name it, you know about it, and you keep it alive. And yes, occasionally, and it's called in situ conservation, occasionally you have to put it in seed banks, ex situ. And that's just kind of a last result insurance policy. But they're very actively promoting in situ seed conservation for that. So a very, very different pattern. We have the largest seed bank in the world in Colorado. The U.S. has been busy since the 19th century collecting seed from around the world. And the FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, has gotten after the U.S. several times, again, to no avail. We have about 30 to 40% failure rate in this Colorado seed bank. So ex situ kills seed, in situ preserves seed.